I have just copied and pasted an image of what I want to show you guys into a Word document, so you can't actually see the whole thing, but I will scroll down as I talk about it. So this is comparison of the difference between the DSM-4 and the DSM-5. So the reason I wanted to show you guys the difference is because a lot of people have been commenting on her videos saying, oh, I don't think you're an alcoholic, or oh, alcohol abuse is different than alcohol dependence. And that is based on the DSM-5 no longer true. That is not how they rate things. Now what they do is they consider it an alcohol use disorder, and they have 3 different levels of that based on how many boxes you check off. So the idea that alcohol abuse is different than alcohol dependence is no longer true. Essentially, alcohol abuse is really a symptom of a kind of alcohol dependence. Yes, it is possible to abuse alcohol and not be physically dependent, but you can be psychologically dependent on alcohol, in which case it's still a problem. So anyway, I just wanted to say that so people understand that you can no longer say that they're 2 different things. They're the same thing. So there's just different levels, but there's no longer an alcohol abuse and dependence separation. Also, another thing is you can see is that they did delete one of the criteria. I'm not sure. They might have added another one. They did. They did add another one. Okay, so it says that one of the things that is no longer in the DSM-5 is that you no longer have to have gotten arrested or had legal troubles or interactions with the police or whatever as a result of your drinking. That can still be an indication that you have an alcohol problem, but the reason it was deleted was because a lot of people are like, well, that's never happened to me, so I don't have an issue and I'm perfectly fine. And the reality is that that's not true. Some people are more likely, because of their gender, their race, different things like that, to be arrested and to have legal problems. Whereas other people, they will not have those issues because of their race and because of their gender and things like that. So because of that, they took it out. So my point is that just because she hasn't had, and I know she's never mentioned this, but like if she were to say, well, I've never had legal problems because of my alcoholism, first of all, I would say you're a privileged celebrity. You're not likely to. But second of all, I would say, that that's not relevant anymore and that doesn't mean anything in particular. So, and it certainly doesn't make you immune to having a problem with alcohol dependence. So there's that. And the new thing that they added to the DSM, so they took that out and then they added a new thing, is the criteria number 4, which is wanting a drink so badly that you couldn't think of anything else. And I'll kind of go through it and talk about whether or not I think that criteria is relevant to her. I just wanted to mention that that's what they replaced it with. So anyway, so now I'm going to go through the DSM-5 requirements. I'm going to be honest, I can say like the minimum amount that she fits, but I can't say the maximum because she doesn't necessarily answer these questions directly in her videos. So I will say that. So number 1 is, have you had times when you ended up drinking more or longer than you intended? It's hard to say. I can't say for sure. But number 2 is, more than once wanted to cut down or stop drinking or tried to but couldn't. I mean, she's clearly shown that she's tried and then she would relapse. She had mentioned that in the first video. So number 2 is like 100% definitely yes. So number 3 says spent a lot of time drinking or being sick or getting over the after effects. So like having hangovers a lot, or like having a hangover for like 3 days or something. Again, I don't know, But I would tend to say that, yes, she spends a lot of time drinking. If you're saying that you had a drink every day, that would indicate you're spending a lot of time drinking. Also, this like obsession with like hanging out with people or constantly drinking, spending a lot of time drinking. I would argue that number 3 is definitely a strong possibility. Then we go over to a number 4, which I reviewed before, which is wanting a drink so badly you couldn't think of anything else. And definitely she's mentioned this where she has had cravings. And this is, I mentioned before how it doesn't say, have you ever wanted to drink so badly you couldn't think of anything else 5 times or 8 times or 6 times. It doesn't give a specific number. It just says, has it ever happened to you once ever? And the answer is yes. She's clearly indicated that has happened to her once before, at least once before, multiple times before, where she's thought about drinking and that she couldn't think of anything else and she was trying to avoid it by not thinking of anything else. So that is a definite yes. Then we go to number 4. It says, found that drinking or being sick from drinking often interfered with taking care of your home or family or caused job troubles or school problems. So obviously, she's no longer in school, so that is not relevant. As far as her home or her family, I would know, but again, she doesn't really have to take care of her family. She's a celebrity. She has other people taking care of her home, so I don't really know how relevant it is to her life. But with regard to job troubles, I mean, there have been, even after the lipstick situation, because I know she said she started drinking after the lipstick situation, even after that, there have been issues with her makeup products, not severe issues, but issues where she just didn't really address those issues, her concealer being really dry and patchy and weird, and her, the lack of color range in her products. And she never really addressed those issues. And then she had talked about like her being in like a fog at her job and like people noticing the difference. So that kind of a thing, number 5, definitely a yes without a doubt. Then we have number 6, which is continue to drink even though it's causing trouble with your family or friends. And the problem in this is that if you have enabling friends or family, it's not going to cause trouble for them because they, by definition, want you to drink so they can behave in the same way. So, I would say for her, I don't really feel like she's had this because I don't think her alcohol issues were ever a problem with her family or friends. I feel like they almost support her and enable her in that way. So for 6, that would definitely be a no from what I know based on her videos. Number 7 is given up or cut back on activities that were important or interesting to you or gave you pleasure in order to drink. So this would be like if she stopped doing hobbies or she stopped doing things. And, my argument here would be that she did stop. I mean, she had problems with her alcoholism. And as a result, she really took a step back from her cosmetic company. So that, to me, I would argue is an activity that was once important to her that she, stopped doing in order to drink. But I would also say other things, like in this video, she had mentioned that like she used to play tennis a lot and she hadn't done that in years. So I'm not sure again, but I would kind of tend to argue that number 7 is there. Number 8, more than once gotten into situations while or after drinking that increased your chances of getting hurt, such as driving, swimming, using machinery, walking in a dangerous area, or having unsafe sex. So again, I don't know enough about her life to say if this is true or not. I've never seen her drink in an unsafe situation, but there have been times where she said I've taken a shot before I've gone out somewhere. But again, maybe her boyfriend was driving. So I don't know if that has been the case. I can't say. I'm not going to include it because I don't really know if that has been relevant to her life. I know it is for many people, but in the videos that I've seen, I haven't seen that. Number 9, continue to drink even though it was making you feel depressed or anxious or adding you another health problem or having had a memory blackout. And this is true. I don't think she's ever mentioned blacking out, but she's definitely mentioned having significant health problems as a result of her drinking. So that is 100% I'm going to include that. Then we have had to drink much more than you once did to get the effect that you want, or found that your usual number of drinks had much less effect than before. And again, this she really didn't touch on. She really didn't mention it because I'm not sure. I mean, I would assume if you're drinking daily, you probably are going to build up a tolerance to it. So I would assume number 10 is relevant, but I can't say for sure. And then number 11, found that when the effects of alcohol were wearing off, you had withdrawal symptoms such as trouble sleeping, shakiness, restlessness, nausea, sweating, a racing heart, or a seizure, or things that were not there. Again, I don't really know. I mean, I feel like she would kind of get like anxious when she didn't have a drink, but that's not necessarily a withdrawal symptom. I don't know. Again, she says she drank daily. So that would indicate to me that, yeah, maybe she did have those feelings, but I don't know based on the information that I was, given. So that's all the 11 symptoms. And it says that the presence of at least 2 of these symptoms indicates that you have an alcohol use disorder. Okay. And then the severity is defined based on the number of symptoms that you have. So we have mild, moderate, and severe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the ones that I thought were most relevant to her. Not necessarily saying that she didn't have the other ones, but that based on her videos, I couldn't see any indication of those. Obviously, if I was her therapist, I would try to look into more of those. So 2 is definitely 100% relevant. 4, I would definitely say is relevant. 5, I would say is relevant. 7, I can't really say for sure, so I'm not going to include it. I'm just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt as much as I can, so I'm not going to include number 7. And I'm also not going to include number 3 because, again, I don't really know. Like, I feel like, yeah, kind of, but I can't know for sure. And then 9 is a definite yes with regard to health problems. So that would indicate that for 100% sure, she definitely has had at least 4 of those symptoms, which would make her at a moderate level. And then if we were to add 7 and 3 into that mix, that would make it 5 to 6, which would bring her to more of a moderate to severe. So I definitely think she's definitely more in the moderate zone, but very close to severe. And again, severe might be true. Like, I don't know based on what I know, but based on just watching her videos solely based on those, I can say that definitely she has had at least 4 of those symptoms. So with that said, to say that she has a mild problem or an issue that's not a big deal is completely false. And to say she's not an alcoholic or she doesn't have an alcohol issue or an alcohol use disorder is just utterly, false. And not true, and shows that you have not read the DSM and you do not even know that there is a new DSM that has come out with new relevant information that has changed things. So the conclusion of this is that yes, she 100% has an alcohol use disorder. She 100% is at the very least someone who has a moderate alcohol use disorder, and that there's no difference between dependence and abuse. So I just hope that this kind of helps you guys understand where I'm coming from, and that I'm not diagnosing her because I think I know her whole life. I'm diagnosing her based on a list of criteria that, if we assume her videos are true, she seems to fulfill. And when I talk about, oh, she should, go to detox, or she should do this or that, that's based on research, which indicates that most people, to get help, they need help from others, right? They can't just do it on their own. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye-bye.